What up, what up, what up? Sports fans, football fans all over the world. It's your boy, Mac the Giants fan, here with my guy, the super dope co-host, Adam Costas. Y'all know what time it is. It's time for that real deal NFC East round up. Punch that intro. What is going on, everybody? How y'all doing out there today? Thank you for joining us to another edition of the Real Deal NFC East Round Up. What's going on, Kenneth, man? Thank you for popping in, bro. I always appreciate it. Appreciate the support, bro. No doubt indeed. Hope you're having a great day, man. And see our guy, No Mets, jumped up in the building, said he's not going to be able to be here live today, but you always hear in spirit. Check out the replay later. I always appreciate my guy, No Mets, No Nets, No Jets.
And No Met says
Adam's going to blow a gasket, drafting the quarterback with the third.
Yeah. Fuck drafting a quarterback with the middle finger. Fuck drafting a quarterback in the third round. Let's build a team through the lines, both sides, like the Pigeons model. That's that middle finger.
Well. We know Adam does not agree with that statement, but we'll get to that, and we'll get to all of that a little bit down. We're going to talk about. We are finally here. We are now finally officially all the way. Everybody is now in the off season. All 32 teams have now reached the off season point, and this is where we are. And before we get to that, we're going to talk about the Super Bowl that went down on Sunday because, look, last week I was on here and I said, you always bet on Pat. Always bet on Pat. I ain't never seen Pat look quite the way he looked on Sunday night. That was a first for me as a football fan, seeing Patrick Mahomes look the way he did Sunday night in this Super Bowl. This Philadelphia Eagle defense, yeah, I've been downplaying it for quite a few weeks, but they showed me a little something. They definitely showed me something on Sunday night on the big stage. I got to admit, man, I am not one to hide. If I'm wrong, I will admit that I was wrong, and they proved me wrong. They proved me wrong on Sunday night in Super Bowl, stopping the vaunted Kansas City Chiefs offense, pretty much having their way. The craziest stat for me is the fact that they applied all of that pressure with their front four. They weren't even blitzing to cause all that disruption. They were doing that with their front four, man. So, congratulations, Philadelphia Eagles. You are the Super Bowl 59 champions, bringing another Lombardi to the NFC East, the mighty, mighty NFC East, the kings of the Lombardis. Every team now has multiple championships in this division. No other division can claim such a thing, man. And Adam, what's your thoughts on the game Sunday night, brother?
Well, this team looks geared up that they could possibly be in the Super Bowl next year. That's how good they played. So the Philadelphia Eagles came in and they looked like they were the Kansas City Chiefs going to the last 4 out of the last 5 Super Bowls. They just were a dominant performance. It looked like the game got away from them early with that flag down the field to Brown. I was really bad. I wasn't even an Eagle fan, but I was like, yo, you're going to call that ticky-tack call? Like, let's not let the refs narrative play into this game. Let's let them play. Let's see what happens, So I thought that was going to be a bad omen for the Eagles, but that defense stepped up, put them in a 3-and-out, and that's basically how the game turned in my eyes. They didn't capitalize on that penalty. They didn't capitalize on the Eagles missing, having to punt and going downfield. And then the defense just kept hitting Patrick Mahomes in the mouth. What I thought was interesting was the Kansas City didn't really make too many adjustments. They didn't really Travis Kelce played a terrible game, but they looked like they were out of sorts. And I hate to say this, but they looked tired. They looked like they were just tired. You know what I'm saying? And what people don't realize is that when you go that deep in the playoffs every year, right, your offseason starts later every year than every other team. So your rest time is a lot shorter than every other team. It's like when the Golden State Warriors end up in the finals and they just look exhausted when they get there, is because every year they're playing 120 games when most of the league is playing 80, right? So I'm not giving them an excuse, but that's how they look to me. And then there was no adjustments made. It looked like there was no fire made. Like Steve Spagnuolo looked like he got out-coached. We're talking about this guy as defensive coach of the year. He looked out-coached. He couldn't stop a nosebleed. Okay, and they were basically dominated for 2.5, 3 quarters of play. They got some garbage time touchdowns at the end. I mean, the game was basically over when they were up 20-something.
The game was over. The game was over.
So,
and I Kansas City started scoring. The game was over.
I never seen them like that. Like Kansas City did not look like a champ. They were not disciplined. There were a lot of penalties. That front four is not. I'm not saying I've ever seen the front four be that good. I've seen better front fours, and they were just relentless. And what doesn't make any sense to me is, again, you didn't do max protection. You didn't adjust. You just sat back there, and then it's like they kind of were like, well, do we run? Do we pass? Nothing works. So, let's just keep doing what we're doing, and Patrick Mahomes' magic will come through. And you saw that pressure with we talk about the rich get rich, right? Cooper DeJean makes a big play. You know, they have another interception by who else? Zach Bond. 2 of their best defensive stalwarts player, one a rookie and one they brought in. It just like the whole Super Bowl was a contribution of everybody played their part. Barkley did his job. He didn't get into yardage, but that's what Kansas City was doing. They were taking out Barkley. They said beat us other ways, and Jalen Hurts stepped up. He had one bad throw, the interception. Other than that, I think he played a phenomenal game. I really do. He knew when to run. He knew when to pass. He took shots when he had to. He deserved being the MVP. And I don't want to hear about how Daniel Jones or anything. He deserved to be the MVP. Is he the greatest quarterback, flashy-wise? No. But he's a leader of men, and he's a clutch player. And those are facts. And sometimes those things outweigh the overall box score, right? You know, like some people are not great regular season players, or they don't light up the stat during the regular season. But come playoff time, they do what they got to do. And he played in the biggest moment, the biggest stage. He outplayed the greatest of our era right now, right? And he's the top dog. We talk about guys getting beat by Mahomes. He's the first guy that's beaten Mahomes, okay, in the Super Bowl. First guy to really – well, actually not the first. Tom Brady. Second guy. Not named Tom Brady. You know what I mean? Not named Tom Brady. How many guys have gone up to the plate? How many? You know, we've had the 49ers do it, you know, a couple times. They couldn't get over the hump. So the fact that the Eagles did it once, they couldn't get over the hump, right? I mean, this team's played 5 Super Bowls. 2 of them against the Eagles and the 49ers, which is kind of remarkable when you think about it. And then 1 against the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And in those 2 games that they lost, it was the pressure that got to Mahomes that really did them in. And this one was the worst. And I hats off to that defense. I told you that defense was good every year, every week. I told you that they were a leading turnover team in the league. That wasn't me. That's just what they performed. And what did they do? Pick 6. How many pick sixes have we seen in Mahomes' career, let alone in the Super Bowl? I mean, I've seen some with, you know, the Oakland Raiders back in 2002, and then, you know, the Cowboys in 95. You've seen an interception return for a touchdown. We get it. But those are Neil O'Donnell and, you know, Rich Gannon, respectively. Okay? This is Patrick Mahomes we're talking about. The guy that we think is one of the best in the game, throwing a pick 6, looking, dare I say, Daniel Jones-esque back there. Now, you can say all you want. The team didn't help him out. Kelce had a bad game. That one play over the middle where I don't know if it was Hopkins, where they had a chance to kind of climb back into it, and he drops a wide open pass. So, yeah, the Kansas City Chiefs looked like they were just happy to be there, and they were going to win just because they've won so many times. While the Eagles, this was their revenge tour. So, you know, the game was pretty boring, to be honest with you. It was just such a domination that it wasn't a game. Like they just took the will out of this Kansas City team. It was pretty impressive to watch.
Yeah, I must agree. I was pretty uninvested with the actual game itself. By halftime, I was pretty much already the writing was on the wall. I knew Kansas City was not going to have some kind of Herculean comeback against the Philadelphia Eagles the way they were playing, especially on the defensive side of the football. Just like something you had said, you had mentioned, the Kansas City Chiefs came into this game and they had a game plan defensively, and it was clear and it was obviously, and that part of their game plan was executed. They made sure Saquon Barkley is not going to beat us tonight. That plan worked. That worked. The problem is, I think you thought that you didn't think Jalen Hurts was going to be able to come and wheel and deal the way he did.
Exactly.
Look, I'm not a big Jalen Hurts guy. I'm not a Jalen Hurts, fan too much. I stand by what I've always ever said about him. I believe he's more of a product of an amazing system and a big part of a very well-run franchise. But he came out, he showed up on Sunday night, and it was on him because Kansas City Chiefs absolutely stopped Saquon Barkley. When's the last time we've seen this season Saquon Barkley's stat line look anything like this? 25 carries for 57 yards, an average of 2.3 yards a carry. Yes, well done, Kansas City. You got it done. Only problem was Jalen Hurts said, okay, you think you're taking out my boy? And he came up and he stepped up, and like 17 to 22, 221 yards, 2 touchdowns. Yes, he had the interception. Okay, he had a bad throw. He got that one off. And he also had a rushing touchdown. He was the leading rusher on the night, 11 carries, 72 yards, and the rushing touchdown. So, look, he absolutely, anybody that keeps trying to deny or say he didn't deserve the MVP is, I don't know what game they were watching. He was the difference. He ended up being the difference maker on the offensive side of the football. He stepped up and he made the plays every time he needed to make the plays. Every time.
True.
So
it's funny.
Like I said,
sorry, I thought you were finished. I'm sorry.
No, I was just gonna say he made all the plays when he needed to, and then what the defense did, it was just absolutely magical. The defense was I was in awe, to be honest. Like it's the fact that it was for the Philadelphia Eagles. I was just I haven't seen Patrick Mahomes ever look like we saw on Sunday night, and that was all the Philadelphia Eagle defense. That's what they did to him, and that was the big difference in the game. This Kansas City is you're used to seeing this team be able to go up and down the field on opponents, put up points, put up the scores, and they weren't able to get it done. They weren't able to do anything. Honestly, the points they scored, the Eagles basically let them have those. The game was over. The Eagles they were already in celebration mode. They were making sure they was getting the champagne ready in the locker room. Get our T-shirts and hats out here. Get them boxes of T-shirts and hats out here. You know what I mean? They were already in championship mode at that point. That game was already over. So, honestly, I believe full-heartedly, if the Eagles really wanted to, they could have probably laid the donut on the Chiefs on Sunday night. That's how dominant this team was on Sunday night.
Yeah.
And that's about all they're going to get from me right about now. Right at this moment, I got to chill out with the love fest for the Eagles. But it was impressive.
Well, you made a good point about the Eagles. I think it's alluding to this point. They were outcoached because the game plan for the Kansas City Chiefs worked, but what they didn't think is the counter plan that Kellen Moore had. Kellen Moore went into the game knowing that you're probably going to have to throw the ball here, Jalen. You're probably going to have to be the main reason we win because Kansas City is not going to allow us to be run on. And so he delivered. And how many people have been the focal point of their team? We say that all the time. Like, oh, is he just a passenger, or is he the conductor, or the driver, whatever? On Sunday night, he was the driver. He was the driving force in everything. I mean, to have the cojones on 4th and 3 in the Super Bowl to throw it down the field to A.J. Brown. I mean, they do that play constantly, and it constantly works. They do the tush push. He did some running where he got some big gains and big yardage at key moments. He played like a cerebral assassin like we haven't seen him play all year long. And this is why you pay a guy. You may not get the flashy stats all the time, but if the guy ends up in Lombardi's, you're going to start to put leader among men, and that's what he is. He galvanized his team in the moment that his star player couldn't carry them to the team victory in Barkley. He rose to that occasion, having 3 overall touchdowns himself, which is a good, solid game, right? They probably would have won the game like that anyways, because Kansas City didn't even score 28 points. They scored like 21. So they technically alone could have won the game on their offense, and they took it into cruise control. And it was so bad, we saw Kenny Pickett. I don't ever think I've seen a backup quarterback in a Super Bowl. That's how bad the beatdown was. Who had seen Kenny Pickett with 3 minutes to go on your bingo card? Nobody. Not one person. If you had made that bet that we would see Kenny Pickett out there in the game, then, man, you are one smart dude, and I hope you made a lot of money. I didn't see it coming, and neither did the world.
I definitely didn't see it coming. It definitely was, but they put themselves in a position to be able to have, let the young guys get out there, the backup players get a little bit of Super Bowl burn. Why not? The game was over. The game was well in hand at that point. So why not let everybody get a little bit, see what it's like to get on the field and run some plays in the Super Bowl, no less. You know what I mean? So, I mean, I thought that was well done by giving those guys an opportunity late in that game, letting them get out there and get a little bit of play, get a few plays in, and just soak in the whole experience. You get to watch all week and you think, I'm here, but what you're thinking, I'm not going to get on the field, I'm not going to play, but it still feels good to be there. Well, you actually got an opportunity to get on the field in front of the Super Bowl audience, basically the world. And so it was, good. Good. I was great for all of those young guys.
So what do we think of Nick Sirianni now? Like, everybody hated him. He gets maligned every week, but yet the guy in his tenure with Philadelphia has been to 2 Super Bowls. He's done more, he did more than Doug Peterson. He did more than Andy Reid in his tenure with the Eagles. Where does he go from here? Because remember, it was a year ago that they were contemplating firing him. Remember? That they went and had meetings about him and all this stuff. And here we are a year later, and he's hoisting the Lombardi trophy with his team. So where do we rank Nick Sirianni? Do we think he gets another – do we think he gets a stay of execution? Should we be giving him more respect because he is one of the winningest coaches to start his career? I don't know. Everyone hates the guy, so I'm just trying to ask, where do you put him now?
I mean, look – Nick Sirianni kind of gets a bad deal. I mean, look, obviously this Philadelphia Eagles team is absolutely loaded, but at the same time, he's got to have the leader, the actual true leader that's out there, keeping these guys in line, keeping everything in order, and still keeping this engine running. We saw what happened the season ago, the season prior to this, how the wheels just fell off on their season and it just all was a total collapse. Well, this year, that didn't happen. I mean, he didn't allow that to happen this year, and these guys came together, and he's the one holding this thing together ultimately and truthfully, man. So, honestly, I mean, he's potentially on his way to creeping up into legendary status the way his head coaching career started, to be honest. I mean,
he wins another one.
Is he even yet to have has he even had a losing season yet? He hasn't even had a losing season yet.
Oh, he's been to the playoffs every year he's been there.
So
Listen,
yeah, I mean,
I documented before. They went to the playoffs, lost to Tampa Bay in the wild card round. They went to the Super Bowl the following year in 2022, right? They then go to the playoffs and are one and done last year. And now again, they go to the Super Bowl and this year winning, right? So we're talking about like a historical run that we haven't even seen with Andy Reid. Andy Reid with the 8 NFC Championship games didn't punch it in for only one Super Bowl, which he lost, right? But yet, and then Doug Peterson, who had a short stint, went to one Super Bowl, only one. Right? That's when they had the Philly special. And now here you are with Nick Sirianni. He's been to 2 playing against Patrick Mahomes of Kansas City and not only beat them. That has to be a feather in the cap, especially because if we look at Tom Coughlin, and he'll be in the Hall of Fame for beating the Patriots, we have to look at Nick Sirianni kind of in a similar light, where you're like, you just beat the baddest team on the planet who's won 4 of the last 5 Super Bowls, has been to 5 of the last 6 or whatever, and beat you 3 years prior. Easily could come in here and say, you know what, we got these guys' number. And he pulled off the victory in a resounding fashion. It wasn't like it was a close game. It was like their first meeting, where it came down to a couple of plays at the end. But this was a beatdown of epic proportions. So I think we need to get off his back, Nick Sirianni, and just let him coach Philadelphia and see what happens. Because I'm not trying to be an advocate of Philadelphia. I know because I'm on this show, people think I like Philadelphia. I don't, but there's no use in yelling about Philadelphia for 2 hours on a show. I'm just giving you my observation. So my observation is this guy is pretty good of a coach. I know that we hear Eagle fans complain a lot, but you just beat Andy Reid and the big bad wolf in the Kansas City Chiefs, who have been nothing but a menace to everybody in the AFC and anybody that faced them in the NFC.
absolutely, absolutely. I mean, look, at the end of the day, Nick Sirianni, his resume is already super strong. And here's the reality of the situation with him. He's come back out here next year on the sideline with this Philadelphia Eagle football team, and they're going to absolutely, probably, most likely be the favorites to win the NFC again. I mean, let's just call it what it is. The roster's not going to be much different. It's not going to be drastically different. I mean, the home run hitters are going to still be there. At least we believe they will be. I mean, you don't know what could happen in a chaotic offseason, but
their offensive
like to believe that
that's the only thing.
Their offensive coordinator is different. I mean, so they will be doing some things a little bit differently next year as far as that goes. And that's a good way to segue into that. How about that? Think it'll have any kind of an impact on this football team? Because he was obviously a key addition to the coaching staff, and impact with him taking the New Orleans Saints head coaching job. You think it have any impact on this Philadelphia Eagle team going into the offseason and getting prepared for next year?
The other guy that left, Steichen or whatever his name was, I think it was Steichen. I could be wrong. That could be the defensive coordinator. But one of them left for a coaching job. And the next year they got Desai, and he was horrible, right? Or no, not Desai. They got their QB coach became their offensive coordinator. He was terrible. That was the 2023 season. Like, oh, my God. And then they brought in Kellen Moore, and he really changed it. So, and then the Eagles knew this was probably going to happen when they hired him. They may not have thought of it this fast, because of with Cliff Kingsbury and a lot of guys. But what do? I'm going to say yes, they take a dip. But when you have guys like Barkley and Jalen Hurst, who knows what that means? Does that mean the next guy comes in and goes, we have 26, we're just going to ride him out? Like, it's going to be interesting to see who Nick Sirianni picks, because Vic Fangio is going to be there. I don't know what they are cap-wise, but we'll have to look, see their cap-wise. I think they need to extend Bond. If I'm them, I'm signing Zach Bond to a contract. I'm looking to get more on the offensive line because Mekhi Becton might be gone, so maybe I'll try to sign him to keep continuity together. But if you're really only losing your offensive coordinator, Nick Sirianni's got to step in and be like, yo, run the ball when we need to. And hopefully he doesn't promote from within, but I don't know. I don't know their coaching staff that well. So I think it'll have effect. How much of an effect, we'll find out next season. I still think they'll be pretty good regardless. So.
Hey, I appreciate you. What's going on, Coach Ed in the building? Thanks for stopping in, man. Hope all is well. Appreciate the love, man. But yeah, let's. I mean, yeah, it's gonna. Like I said, it could have a slam, but I think when a team is talented as this Eagle team, I don't think it's gonna have that major of an impact. I think it's gonna end up. I think they'll still just look. They clearly have a formula. They know what they want to do, and I think they'll just come out. And next guy will just come in, step in, and just fill that void. And I think it'll still
Imagine
be
we're
pretty
watching them
much.
the next 5 Super Bowls back. How hard, like think about that. Just think about that. Like are we witnessing a dynasty here? Are we witnessing, a team on the up and up? I mean, think about
But
this team. They've been in the playoffs.
I don't want to think that. I don't want to think that for them. I don't. I really don't. I don't want to think that for them. I want to definitely hope that that's not how things work out. But Coach Ed here with the question. He said, "Will Sirianni hire the OC or will the GM hire him like last year?"
I think they'll kind of have input together. They just won a Super Bowl, so I mean,
I think you're going to you're going to collab a little bit in the decision making there. I think you're going to want to get somebody in there. You're going to make sure you guys are on the same page and understand. Look, we know it works. So let's get somebody in here that's not going to be coming in here and trying to, like just completely
40 times
overhaul everything.
Yeah, don't bring in Eric Bieniemy because you will lose your mind. You know what I mean? Like that guy, all he knows how to do is throw. That's all he does. Throw. But I mean, but really, the difference between 2023 and 2025 will be the players. I mean, Barkley is clearly the difference maker. And so he could break a game open and your offense could be very stagnant. I don't think it's going to be difficult, but it will be something that we have to look at as the process goes forward. What I do think they're going to need to do is I think they're going to draft for depth in the offseason. Keep the trenches going. Josh Sweat's going to get paid. I don't know if he's going to get paid with them, right? They have Nolan Smith under contract already. They have Milton Williams under contract. So they got a lot of guys on their roster that are going to be here for the next while. That's why I think they're going to be a force to be reckoned with. I mean, what are we doing here? We're in live show. We can get the Philadelphia Eagles roster up here. We don't have to, sugarcoat this or pretend like we don't know. We can't find their roster in the internet age. Like Brandon Graham, I'm pretty sure he's going to retire. Pretty sure he can retire. Pretty sure he's going to retire on top. I'm pretty sure. I think Darius Slay's going to retire.
He absolutely should.
Okay, I mean, look at their running backs. They have Barkley and Will Shipley, right? So solid running core. Their impending free agents are Zach Bond. I think you're going to sign him. Josh Sweat, I'm not sure about. Brandon Graham, probably going to be retired. Oren Burks, he earned his money somewhere, whether it's with the Eagles or not. He played a phenomenal playoff, had a phenomenal playoff run. Mekhi Becton, you may or may not sign. Raven Clark, Jack Driscoll. If I'm the Giants, maybe I look into some of these players because they're such a well-coached team. Kenneth Gainwell probably be back for cheap. Fred Johnson might be back here. I mean, they might sign a lot of these guys back because they do well. I mean, Milton Williams, he had a good season. He might get paid. We'll see what happens. But still, on their roster, they still have Jalen Carter. They still have Jordan Davis. They got Bryce Huff. Mario Ojomo's an up-and-coming player. They have Bryant Young. I'm sure they can always upgrade in the draft. The linebackers, they have Nakobe Dean, Jalen Hunt, Jackson Hunt is also there. They like him. He's an outside linebacker that might be coming into his own. They have Jeremiah Trotter. Not saying that this is a team that's going to not get better, but then they have in the backfield, this is where they really do well. They have Blankenship. They have Bradbury. He's probably gone. Sidney Brown's going to be here. They have Sinai Lewis, who they are working in and have him working in. He's from Georgia. They have Cooper DeJean, C.J. Gardner-Johnson. I don't know how much longer he has. They have Kenyon Mitchell, Eli Ricks, Kelly Ringo, and Darius Slay. I don't know if Darius Slay will come back. But again, they have some solid pieces where they're going to be here a while. Not to mention A.J. Brown, Jahan Dotson, Devontae Smith. I do believe they may add a receiver. Like they did add Jahan Dotson, who made a couple clutch catches. Let's be honest, he did what he needed to do. But I think they might want to add more productivity there. But if you look at their line, Landon Dickerson, Lane Johnson, Cam Jurgens, Trevor Keegan, Darian Kennard, Jordan Mailata, Tyler Steen, Brett Toth, all those guys, most of them are still going to be the regular offensive line. It's without Mekhi Becton, but they had injuries anyways, and a guy like Tyler Steen did play, right? So this team is going to be, I hate to tell you folks, it's going to be here for a while.
Yeah, okay. Thank you for that, Adam. For that reminder of how good this Philadelphia Eagle football team is. But you're correct. This team is built for right now. They're built for long-term success. Let's just hope they don't actually have it. What's going on, Wales, man? Thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you, my guy, Wales.
You're just being honest.
Popping in the building. I know you are. This is why, like I said, this is the real deal NFC East roundup, bro. Can't have it no other way, man. I mean, look, this team is built for long-term success. And that is a fact. I mean, that is a fact of the matter. Let's talk about a team that's not built for long-term success right now. Let's talk about a team that has the worst roster in the division by far. Let's talk about a team that is the worst team in the division by far. Let's talk about a team that, even though I just said those very terrible things, it's the team that we find ourselves absolutely over the moon about. Our beloved New York Football Giants.
Oh, boy.
Let's talk about these guys for a little bit. The rumor mill is swirling. It's been swirling. Somehow Matthew Stafford is now connected to the New York Giants as a potential landing spot for the future Hall of Fame quarterback, Matthew Stafford. Look, I kind of know how you feel. We were talking earlier. I know how you feel about this, Adam, and I feel pretty similar. I don't know if it's for the same reasons necessarily, but I don't really want any parts of it, man. That's not what this New York Giant team needs, man. It's not. This team is not like on the verge of being okay, and Matthew Stafford puts us back up over the top, a guy that can get us to where we need to be. No. It's not what this team is. This team is at the bottom. At the rock bottom. They have to rebuild all the way up from the foundation. And you don't start that with the veteran quarterback like Matthew Stafford. Why would he even want to be a part of this at this stage of his career anyway?
Thank you.
That alone wouldn't even, to me, doesn't make sense from his standpoint. Why would he want to be here?
Right. Like,
what would make him want to be on a New York Giants? Oh, yeah, let me go be a part of this. This team has been absolutely ass for the last decade, but let me go be a part of that. Considering that I spent all my best years of football with the lowly Detroit Lions. Yeah, I'm going to go be a part of another absolutely horrible franchise right now. Let me jump in there and get back in that mix. Let me feel what that feel like again. Come on.
You nailed it on the head with the Detroit Lions pick. I didn't even think of that. But what doesn't make sense to me is this. You just said it. We don't have a roster, but yet you want to go trade for Matthew Stafford? Like, what in the world is that? And I've gotten to conversations with people, and they're like, well, this brings respectability back to the job. What respectability? What are we going to do? Win 7, maybe 8 games, Matthew Stafford? And then he decides he wants to retire? I mean, think about this. The Rams, he's deciding whether or not he wants to play football. Now I want to bring that guy to New York with a team that's not even winning? Like, what 3 and 14 team that you know, or any bad team that you've seen, bring in a 37-year-old quarterback, and that saves everything?
It just doesn't. It just doesn't.
I mean, you look at Tom Brady. He went to a
this
team.
Is not a.
With Tampa Bay, he went with Tampa Bay. They were already a decent team. You know what I mean? Matthew Stafford goes to the Rams, and they're a decent team already. So They end up winning. The Giants have to rebuild. So what are we going to do? Waste 3 years and then try to go all in with a bunch of free agents and Matthew Stafford? Do we not just see the Eagles that we just said they were good? The Commanders have $100 million. Like, who are we fooling with Matthew Stafford?
Okay, hypothetically. Okay, you do that. You trade to get Matthew Stafford, trade for Matthew Stafford. You get a couple of hot shot free agents in here. Okay, so be it. You run a good season basically. Remember 2016? Remember that year when they basically rented a good season, because that's what it was. It was like a rental. They brought in the Snacks Harrison and Norris Jenkins and the linebacker, whoever that was. I can't remember who he was now. But yeah, and yeah, Olivier Vernon. Defense was on fire that season, and offense was doing some stuff, and went to the Giants and went to the playoffs. Had a successful year. Went to the postseason, and then it was just right back to the same old Giants. I believe they followed that up with a 3-13 season.
Yeah, it fell apart.
Followed up that playoff appearance in 2016 with a 3-13 season. Just completely god awful. I mean, like, it's almost as if we don't remember things like that. And going and getting like Matthew Stafford and doing, that's basically doing the same thing you did there. Okay, maybe you have a nice year, you go to the playoffs or some random, but then where are you really at? Where's the long-term success? Like, where's that at? You have to build for long-term success. You want to be where the Eagles are.
Right.
And you're not going to be there by making move like bringing in Matthews, by trading for Matthew Stafford and whatever. That's not, you have to build this roster properly.
Let me ask you.
And it does start at the quarterback position. Oh, it starts at the quarterback position. It absolutely does. But not, like Adam said, not a 37-year-old future Hall of Famer. It doesn't start. That's not what this team needs right now.
You got to ask yourself this question. Do you think Matthew Stafford is a +6 in the win column? Because if you look at it like this, Tampa Bay is the worst team in the NFC playoffs. They were 9-8, right? We were 3-14. Is Matthew Stafford guaranteeing you 6+ more wins? With the team you have right now, you can bring in some
guarantee it.
With the schedule that we have, does he bring in 6+ wins and get 9 wins? If the answer is no,
yeah, I mean you can't definitely. It's not a guarantee. That's for damn sure. It's a possibility. That's all it is.
So basically, you're hoping on a prayer that's a possibility for this season to get 9 wins. So then next year, when he's a year older, and you decide to spend money, and who are you bringing in? Because some people want to say, "Oh, well, you bring in Matthew Stafford, you draft your quarterback." Okay, if Matthew Stafford comes here for cheap, yeah. And I don't have to give up resources, I'm down. But he's going to want more money. He still wants to play. The rumor is he doesn't want to leave L.A., okay? And why am I going to pay? And by the way, you're going to have to pay him money. Pay him a lot of money. It's not like he's going to come here for like $2, like a Sam Darnold $10 million deal. He's not coming here for that. He's going to want $30, $40 million to come in with the options to move out. So why in the hell would I want to do that after I just invested money and Daniel Jones and that didn't work out? Why wouldn't I go? The smart move would be get a guy like James Winston, who is a veteran, who has won games in this league, who has a ton of experience, right? Then while you're at 3, either trade to 1 or stay at 3, go get Shedeur Sanders. And then next year, in 2026, you'll have your young quarterback with an ample amount of money to spend and people who will want to come here. And judging by the quarterbacks that came out the last few years, there's going to be a success, and why not be your success? And now you have a Shedeur Sanders, you have a Cam Ward, hell, Jackson Dart for sake of argument, and now you have your young quarterback who's played some games, and you have you can open the purse strings now because now you have all your bad contracts are off the books. I can now go out and spend money for this guy, build the O-line, build the trenches, do whatever I got to do. And sure, maybe I don't have a draft pick, but people forget what happened in 2004. We got Eli Manning, in 2004, traded up. The next year, we had a fucking purse, and we spent it on Burris, on McKenzie, on Pierce, right? And then we had a solid draft with Webster and Tuck and built a foundation, won 11 games that year with a second-year quarterback. Why not try it that way? Where you're like, okay, I'm going to identify my guy. I'm going to bring in a guy here, Jameis Winston, to show him the ropes. If we win, great. If we don't, I can pull Jameis with no problem. You're not going to pull Matthew Stafford in the middle of the year if he's struggling. You're not going to do it, especially if you pay him $50 million. Giants aren't going to do that. And to sit here and say, well, we need to check out the young guy, you're not going to do that, okay? Matthew Stafford is going to commit, at least get a year to start at best. At least with Jameis Winston, if you decide you're, not in the playoff mix and you want to give the kid some reps, it'll probably be easier for him, and you still can have him as a backup quarterback the next year in case you need him and you still have a solid quarterback room, right? That's how I go about doing it. Getting a 37-year-old guy when I don't have a window of winning, like Pittsburgh. Pittsburgh is the prime spot for a Matthew Stafford. Okay, their defense is built. They basically need a quarterback of Matthew Stafford's ilk, and they probably can be a contender again with him. The Giants are not near any of those teams. So for me, I've had people yell at me, oh, well, I'm not wasting another season of losing and all this stuff. I'm like, so Matthew Stafford is not guaranteeing you anything other than 9 wins, and that's not even guaranteeing you a playoff. You've already wasted one of his good years. That's what you've done. Unless you're the Jets and you bring in a guy like Aaron Rodgers, who your team has built, but your quarterback is what's holding you back, and you know that getting Aaron Rodgers with the roster you have can give you that +3 in wins, that's why you do it. All right? Look what happened to the Jets. They brought in a guy. He failed. They traded for him, mind you. Failed. And they got egg on their face. And they have nothing to show for it. And they blew up the whole thing. For what? They actually had a better team than the Giants. And were built better. So now you're going to tell me the Giants are going to do that with the schedule that they have? Matthew Stafford doesn't even fit in what Brian Dable wants to do offensively? Have you asked that question? And the last question I'll ask you is, why would he want to come here? Like Max said, what of the Giants, and no one's giving me a good answer here outside of money and that they're the Giants. And I look at it like, why would I want to come to the Giants? I know that there's no championship for me. Why am I going to waste away my years getting beat up behind that offensive line that needs to be fixed? Because, Mac, the argument isn't bringing Matthew Stafford in. It's about trading for the guy when all I hear about is how bad the roster is. But Matthew Stafford is going to miraculously cure all those ills? Like, I don't get it. Why don't we want our own fresh new toy? Our own new leader of men?
I told you how I feel. Yeah, how I feel. Like you said, we got to build this up the right way, and getting Matthew Stafford, that's the wrong thing. That's just be the wrong move. What is going on with you, Joe, in the building? Congratulations to your Birds, man. Handing out that beat down on Sunday night to the Chiefs, man. That was impressive, I must say.
Do they have a parade already?
You missed that segment of the show, though. You should have got here earlier. You got to go back, catch the replay, bro. Alex had Big Blue in the Bronx, man. Appreciate you stopping in, bro, as always, man. Make sure y'all go and sub up to Alex at Big Blue in the Bronx, man. Him and his brother doing big-time things over there, man. And, yeah, I was surprised that, Joe, answer your question real quick. I was surprised at how the Eagles handled them. I was actually very impressed, though, man. They handled them. They handled their business, man. They got it done, man.
It was an impressive victory.
What is going on? Honorable mentions. Appreciate you stopping in, bro.
You know their
David,
beatdown.
how you doing, man? Thanks for stopping in.
Their beatdown was like the Eagles beating down Kansas City is like when you beat somebody in Mortal Kombat and they go finish him and you get the fatality. They gave the fatality to Kansas City Chiefs, man. They did not look like and for all we know, this could be the loss that plummets that dynasty down a bit. Where now they're not winning as much. They'll be winning because of Mahomes and things like that. But who knows, man? Who knows? But getting back to the Giants offseason, and they're a shit storm. Mike, what sucks about this offseason? is that every quarterback under the sun is going to be linked to the Giants in some way. Any quarter. I have Derek Carr. People like walk with me with Derek Carr. I got Aaron Rodgers, who if I'm going to trade for Matthew Stafford, might as well bring in Aaron Rodgers because he had similar numbers anyways. So if I'm going to kill myself with a veteran quarterback who may or may not play, do that. Russell Wilson is going to be linked to us. He's a better option than that. Jameis Winston, I just think he's funny and would bring something hilarious to watch every week in the media sessions and all that. I think he'd be funny to watch. And then, now we have Matthew Stafford because his brother-in-law works for the team. So that means he's coming here. But I want to get to that little section, right? Matthew Stafford, how much experience do you think he has? Like 15 years, 16 years, right?
He's been around for quite some time now.
You think he needs an extra quarterback coach?
I mean, he doesn't.
So exactly. So to me, when I look at the Giants signing an extra QB coach because they've kind of promoted Shea Tierney to offensive passing coordinator and QB coach, right? And he's assistant QB coach, it tells me that I think they might be getting a young QB in here because now you have 3, maybe 4 guys on the offense that are going to be here to groom a coach. You've got Dable, Kafka, Shea Tierney, and now this guy. Okay? You're telling me that if Matthew Stafford comes in here, I need 4 guys to train him on what to do? You know what I mean? Like, think about the optics right now. I know that his brother-in-law is here, or right, whatever, and maybe his brother-in-law can put in a good word, but let's be real. If I'm Matthew Stafford, why am I going to leave the beautiful LA stadium to come to the shithole of MetLife with a roster that can't even field a competent football team? Somebody said it best in one of these spaces. We have third stringers as our starters, and our starters who should be bench players on the field. So now we're telling me that you're going to come in here and rectify the situation. So what it tells me, or at least this is my opinion, they're going to have a young quarterback in here. So now this extra assistant head coach can work with the young guy exclusively because while Shea Tierney is working on the passing game and trying to, fit whoever the quarterback is into the system, you can have this other guy helping this guy. Because why would you need a QB assistant to the QB coach? It makes no damn sense to me, especially when Matt Kafka was doing nothing. So the only reason that it makes sense is that you're gearing up to get a young quarterback in here, and you need a guy who's going to have some extra hands.
Absolutely. What is that? What's going on? Chad, thank you for stopping in, man. Thank you for stopping in. And Mr. Franchise Slay popping in, man. All right, yeah, y'all got that. Good, congratulations, Eagles, the Philadelphia Eagles.
Coming in to browbeat us with the Eagle victory.
You guys are the champions. All right.
Can't take it away from you.
Enjoy. Y'all got that.
Well, listen, if you need the 2 histories,
I think, like I said, I've been saying it over and over again. I'm gonna keep on saying it. You got draft 2 quarterbacks, man. In this upcoming Abel. Let's bring a couple guys in, a couple young guys in, man. Let's get some new blood in that locker room and that quarterback room. Get a couple guys, man. Get Ward or Shador at the number 3, and then go maybe later on in whatever 3rd, 4th round. Grab another guy, man, and just good competition, good friendly competition, man, in the locker room, man. I mean, this team needs something to give these fans something to believe in, man. You go out there and get a couple of quarterbacks, and then start trying to, just start trying to bit by bit fix the problem with this football team, man, because it's a lot of problems. Like I said, I'm not going to sit here and pretend like the quarterback is the only issue with this football team. But damn it, you got to address that issue. It is the biggest. It is the most important. You need to rectify that shit. We have not seen consistent, competent quarterback play since Eli Manning has retired. That's been too long now. That's been too damn long. Got to get back to doing this thing the right way, man. And Giants been doing it the wrong way for far too long, man. Got to get better. It feels good to win another one. Yeah, Okay. Plus, Mitch Kopsky says, "Thank you, Giants, for Barkley and Zach Braun." He told all the chat to come over and say that. What the hell? Giants ain't got nothing to do with Zach Braun.
Well,
What the
Mitchell,
hell are you talking
why
about?
doesn't he come over and say hello to us? You know, Zach Bond, we have nothing to do with that. We
Shador
have nothing.
versus Jalen next year. Promise you.
I would love that. I
I'm
would
looking
love
forward to that.
See, here's the thing.
I'd be all about that.
When you bring in a young quarterback, people aren't thinking about the financials that come with it. Okay, you're going to lock this guy up. You can do whatever you want next year. If you bring in a guy like a Stafford who's still on contract and you trade for him, you're going to have to rework a deal. You're going to have to spend a lot of money. And if it doesn't work out, it's going to be harder to ditch than a young quarterback. You get a young guy, let's say Shador. Let's play the hypothetical game, right? Shador comes in. I don't think he's going to suck, but let's say he sucks. After 3 years, if you think he stinks, you're going to be in a position to pick another quarterback. You just pick another one. You move on and go on. Like we pick another guard. We pick another receiver. We pick another edge rusher. We have no problems moving on from players like that. But when it comes to quarterback, we can't. We don't have that same mindset. We have to dump resources in and hope that he's right. I'm going to tell you right now, folks, there's no perfect quarterback prospect. Don't tell me about 2026. Because half the people who tell me about 2026 don't know who's going to stay with the NIL deals, who's going to get injured, who may regress. All right, Quinn Ewers was a top quarterback last year, and now he's a third-round player. Carson Beck would have been drafted in the 5th round due to injury. You don't know what's going to happen. You can only control what's in front of you right now, and you have a chance to get one of the top 2 quarterbacks. The Titans have told you they are open for business. Find out what their price point is and go get your guy. No excuses anymore. And all this bullshit about, well, they're desperate. I don't think they're as desperate as you think. Because if you have a mandate to go out and draft a quarterback, and you bring in a lot of money, right, with the young guy, why would John Mara, who is very loyal, go and do a Daniel Jones-esque type of thing and fire the coaching staff if they see success? Because one of his problems was that firing Pat Shermer, bringing in another guy, all that. I don't think he's going to do that with this coach. What I think will happen is the Giants draft their quarterback. They sit Jameis Winston, Shador, Cam, Jackson, whomever it may be, does a little bit of, retooling, and boom, you're good to go, right? And then that'll keep you around. So, listen, it's not. Again, it's time to win. You're stop bitching about Matthew Stafford, Like, first off, he's not going to come here. We're not winning anything next year, so don't tell me about time to win. You just want to be competent again. I want to build a sustained winner. You want to build a 2016. That's what you want to do. Period. 37-year-old Matthew Stafford. That's what people want to invest money in. It's just funny. Because, Miz, we already told you why. Let's get our own guy in here. You always would just follow these dumb rumors to Stafford coming here. It's a dumb idea. I'm sorry that you want to win.
It's not. Look, I agree. I do agree with Adam, Miz, on this one, man. Miz, I agree with Adam on this. It's just Matthew Stafford's not the answer for this team right now. This is not a team that's in position to just add a Matthew Stafford, and that's what we need. This team needs, like Adam just said, we need their own. They need their own guys. I mean, look. Right now, this team has what does Matthew Stafford have? He'll come in and have Malik Neighbors throw the ball to. Well, he had Megatron for years too. How far did that get him? It just doesn't.
How Lions work out with Matthew Stafford?
This team is not built. It's not. It's just not ready. It's not. This team is not a team that has the luxury of just going out there and saying, "Let's add Matthew Stafford."
I'm not mad at you. You're just not
deeper,
understanding.
Man.
No, you're like a crackhead who just wants to win.
Deeper.
That's what you want to do. You just want to win. You want to get that taste of winning and not the longevity. We want a quarterback here. Matthew Stafford is not going to do anything differently than Jameis Winston would do. It doesn't put instant credibility on your team. It doesn't. First off, there are better teams in the conference than us. And just because you think Matthew Stafford is going to do that team in LA is a lot better than the team we have here. Point blank and period. But you want to say that Matthew Stafford is going to come here and all of a sudden now we're a playoff team? You can't say that you can't tell me that for sure that we're a playoff team. We might win 7 or 8 games. What does that do? Now I'm stuck with a quarterback who, by the way, may want to leave. So why would I spend all that money? I have to trade for him, then extend his contract, give him almost $40 million a year for him to say, well, I don't know if I want to play with you. Okay? To then think that the Giants are then going to spend, if you want to go all in on a quarterback, give me a break, man. You flip-flop every week. And just because Matthew Stafford may bring a era of being better, that doesn't mean your team's going to be better. No team in the history of the NFL at 3-14 has brought in a 37-year-old quarterback, and all of a sudden they've been a playoff contender. That's not how it works. Look at the Kansas City Chiefs. They brought in Joe Montana because they needed a quarterback, and they won with him. But the 49ers had Steve Young behind them. We have nothing. So now you're going to tell me that, we're going to draft Shedeur Sanders? Let's be realistic. Matthew Stafford comes in here. You're not drafting Shedeur Sanders. You're not going to spend the resources to do that because you're going to say, I need to win, so I need to grab Travis Hunter and all this. And you're trying to say, I want football in December because I'm sad of losing. It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. How many of these kids have built on a team with a young quarterback? Like, geez, bro. And he might retire next year.
Look, it just comes down to the fact that he said something back like a minute ago. This long-term success. Matthew Stafford doesn't give you that. Matthew Stafford gives you a couple of more years. It's like he's a mercenary.
He's a hired gun.
What? You might get one good year. You know what I mean? Like it just like you said, it's the 2016 season all over again.
Dumb question.
It's just the 2016 season all over again. That's not building. That's just saying we're still trying to be ready right now. Like we gotta this team needs to be rebuilt, man. This whole everything this team is destroyed all the way down rock bottom to the foundation. This team needs to be rebuilt. You got to lay down a new foundation. And that's not Matthew Stafford. That was a tremendous player, man. I get it, but we can't. That's not the answer. That's not the answer. Let me
answer this question for a minute. Okay, Miz. How do you know the quarterbacks next year are going to be good? You have no clue. All right, Shedeur Sanders could be a franchise guy, but why wouldn't the Giants, who need a quarterback, who have none in the fucking pipeline, decide? You know what? It's a good idea for me to invest in a 37-year-old who wants to retire. Like, that's a sound investment because Miz wants to win a few games and be relevant at the end of the season because he's tired of losing. Or we take a shot at a guy and we build a team with this young quarterback. And if the quarterback stinks, you draft another one or you bring in a guy, right? We've done it your way before. We've paid a guy, Daniel Jones, a guy that you got behind. We got you behind. And it failed, right? We brought in Darren Waller. He retired a year after that, okay? We brought in older free agents and that hasn't worked. Why would I want to bring in a guy right now who's 37 years old, who may not even want to be in New York for real, right? On a team that has no shot at being anything but a wild card team in their own division, if that, with the other teams that are better than us. But we want to bring a retread in because you want to have this guy like what are we talking about here? Like why do we want a guy on the back nine? Why don't we want our own quarterback? Now you're questioning Shedeur Sanders? Give me a break. Last week you were just all over him saying how you want Shedeur Sanders over this, that, and the other guy. So now all of a sudden Matthew Stafford, because Sal Licata on WFAN followed a rumor on Twitter because it's a produced show, and now you're saying that shit should happen. Give me a break. Like, that's dumb football for this team. I understand why you want to win, and I get certain points to it. But that doesn't guarantee me anything. I have to give up assets for a 37-year-old. It makes no fucking sense. It just doesn't. Now, Jameis Winston makes sense because I don't have to pay him $40 million, and I still get a starting quarterback in the league. It's true.
I mean, look, at the end of the day, Matthew Stafford's not the answer. He's just not the answer. It's not, like I said, he's a future Hall of Famer, great quarterback, all of that. It's not about what he's able to do. It's just the fact that that's not what this team needs. I think another good point Adam brought up is you bring in a guy like Matthew Stafford, and then now all of a sudden we're at number 3 overall picking. Like you said, we're taking whatever if Travis Hunter's available there or something else. You know what I mean? Some new shiny new toy yet again. You know what I mean? But it's like, what is that truly doing for this team? We got to get our guy in that room. It's the most important position, and the Giants have to get their guy. They have to get their guy.
Exactly.
Not.
So let me ask Miz this, okay? Because he's sitting here. You think John Mara, if the Giants draft a good quarterback, Shedeur Sanders or Cam Ward, and they show promise at the end of the year, you really think he's going to fire those guys after what he did with Daniel Jones and put that dumbass through? You think he's really going to do that again? No. You need to know who the audience is. John Mara is not going to do that to these guys, especially since you were the one touting people saying they're going to be here the next 5 years. So now all of a sudden they're not going to be here. If they get a young quarterback in Shedeur Sanders, they're not going anywhere. But with Matthew Stafford, if you don't get the playoffs, you better believe your ass is out of here. You better believe that. That is a Super Bowl winning move. You got to bring in Matthew Stafford and know that you're going to beat the fucking 2 teams in front of you and that he's going to guarantee you a fucking championship. If that's the shit, then that's it. But in yes, you did say they'd be here. You said they have 5 years. I've heard you say that. We've had conversations about it. You said they have a 5-year contract. They're going to give it to him. You even said it when you came into Spaces and talked about it. So don't sit here and say that all of a sudden now, if they win 4 games, that they're not going to be afforded that ability to do that. And if they do get fired and Shedeur Sanders is a good quarterback, who gives a shit? Now the next guy comes in and has a quarterback that he can either say, you know what, he's good enough, or you draft another one. I don't understand why it's so hard. Matthew Stafford, though, I can't get out of that contract. You're going to pay him a lot of money, and if he sucks, it's going to be the Jets all over again. How is that not a Jet-like move? And the Jets had a better roster than we do. They had an all-around better defense, all-around better offensive line. Their fucking quarterback is what held them back. So you know what they did? They said, we have a disgruntled guy who wants out of Green Bay, who they already have a quarterback that they're going to fucking play. We're going to take a chance on him. Now, put ourselves in that position. We have no quarterback. Our offensive line is beat up. Everyone tells me we have holes on the fucking roster all over the place. And then we don't need this quarterback. We don't need that quarterback. All of a sudden, you bring in Matthew Stafford, and now we're a fucking playoff team? Where did we miraculously get all these other fucking players that we need?
Absolutely. I mean, look, this is getting, spiraling a little bit. Look, I think at the end of the day, look, Matthew Stafford ain't the answer, man. He's just not the answer. I can't put it any other way other than what I've already said.
Don't do that, man.
The points I've already made up. I mean, it's just
Matthew Stafford's great.
That's not what this team needs. He is absolutely. That's not even the issue. There's nothing. It's not that at all. That's not the reason behind that. It's like that. Matthew Stafford can still ball, all that good stuff, but that's just not the direction this team needs to go in. That's not going to solve any of this team's problems. It's just going to prolong the problems. It'll just prolong the problems. Because you're still not addressing truly addressing the quarterback position the way it needs to be addressed for this football team.
Now,
like I said, I'm all about drafting a couple of these young guys this year in this draft. Absolutely, one at the top, another one midway through the draft. Let's get another guy, man.
I'm also talking about
a couple of young guys
too.
In here and start.
I'm also talking about the financials. Think about it. Matthew Stafford, whether he gets cut or he's traded, is going to cost you $40 million a year to sign him for a guy who is retiring. Why wouldn't I want to go to Russell Wilson and pay him half that money?
I mean, yeah. I didn't know this was going to cause such an uproar. I love it, though. The chat lit the chat up, man. Look, but we got to move on from Matthew Stafford right now. Let's move on from Matthew Stafford and talk about other things the New York Giants need to be potentially addressing in this upcoming draft and maybe around the league and just free agency opens up.
I mean, they have offensive line I don't know how much money they have. I think they'll be spenders. I don't know if they'll be big spenders, but I think they'll spend some money.
I mean, I
Where
think they have to spend money to get people to really want to get here, come here. Honestly, I think this thing
we
has
have an
been kind of
identity.
things have gotten so bad around here that people are gonna have to like just you're gonna have to they may have to overpay a couple of guys if they want to get a couple of like anybody like legitimate as far as I'm concerned. I feel like players aren't just necessarily jumping on board to go be a part of a bad football team that's completely in rebuild mode right now at this point. So
No one's probably gonna ask.
we'll have to wait and see. But like you said, the
They're
offensive
young.
line, I think you got to still continue plugging away at the O line. You got to still try to figure things out. You got to try to put together 5 guys that can get the job done, that can stay healthy, and make some things happen. I mean, you just got to keep working on it. I know they've been trying, even though they didn't take any last year's draft. They gotta what you call it, man. They gotta keep working on that O line and keep building things up.
Yeah, well, the
Let's
problem
see.
is
If
you support
Stafford
your
is a
boys
giant in
like
coming
like
weeks,
like John Mara.
am I still the asshole?
Why?
Don't act like it's not a possibility. Look, anything's a possibility. Anything is a possibility, but I don't see it happening.
Again, you
I don't see it happening from either. I don't. The Giants don't need it. I don't think Matthew Stafford wants any part of it. Would want any part of it. I just can't. It wouldn't make sense to me. If I'm Matthew Stafford, I wouldn't want to be a part of this shit going on with the New York Giants. I wouldn't want to be no.
hey,
I wouldn't
hey,
want to be anywhere near it.
he just they also made a point
Like you,
where we're about to be fired, right? You just said the coach were about to be fired. Why would I come to a unstable position at Matthew Stafford if I don't even know the coach is going to be here? Like if I don't win, you're putting that much pressure on Matthew Stafford to come in and change this culture. And you just said they don't know if they're going to be here. Well, this is why the only reason in my eyes that they have a shot at being here is getting a young quarterback. Because Matthew Stafford, looking at it from afar, you see 2 lame duck coaches. I come in there and I don't make the playoffs. I might not be on the Giants next year. Because the new regime might come in and be like, I want my guy. I want to be old. So again, there's no stability in that regard. Plus, I think it's a negotiating ploy. I really do. Oh, the Giants want us. I would need more money from the Rams. I wouldn't be surprised if the Rams, who went to the playoffs and were, a couple of drives away from the NFC Championship game, decide, hey, you know what? Let's help you out and give you the money. He's at the end. So why
word.
would at the end, bro? Like, why, if he's at the end of your career, why would you want to come to the Giants, Miz, when we're not winning anything? We're not winning anything in the next 2 years. Why are we coming? Why is he coming here? Like, oh, great, to rectify the Giants. No, I'm Matthew Stafford. I may retire next year. I'm not going to try to waste away in New Jersey to try to rectify
Here's the
2
thing.
coaches on the hot seat.
It's like I already said too. He started his career being part of a very bad franchise. The Detroit Lions were a very bad franchise while Matthew Stafford was there. His entire time being there, pretty much, they were a very bad franchise. Why would he want to basically end his career on what right now is also a pretty bad franchise? Whether we can disagree, have our opinions on that, right now the New York Giants are a poorly run franchise, and they have been for some years now, and that's just facts. The name, we're not look past the name. It's just the way this team has been run for the last several years, and it's been very poorly. Why would he want to be a part of something like
Ruining
that?
dreams.
You just gotta.
Your dream is dumb. If our team was 7-10 last year, 7-11, and Daniel Jones was clearly the problem holding us back, and our team was flawed. Our defense was good, and our offensive line was solid, but he was clearly the issue. I would be like, you know what? We have a short window. We look like we have a good team. Let's do it. We have nothing on the roster. We're a 3-14 football team with more holes than a fucking, I don't even want a $2 hooker, right? We have holes everywhere. We're a fucking rebuild project. And you want to bring in a 37-year-old quarterback to hope to win. That's dumb. That's just dumb. I'm sorry. That's just dumb. To make them competitive. How do you know they're lame ducks?
Like I said, we got to build for long term, man. Like you said, you got to look at the teams also in your division around you. Look at the Philadelphia Eagles. That team ain't going away no time soon. The Washington Commanders, absolutely on the up right. You saw 12 wins this season to the NFC Championship game with their guy at quarterback. They're not going anywhere anytime soon. They're going to be around probably for a little bit. They're going to be, and the Cowboys are the Dallas Cowboys. I mean, you got to look at that too. This team, you can't. It ain't about a season here or a season there. It's about building for long term, man. For long-term success and being able to compete with the teams within your division. Let's talk about that for a minute. 0-6 in the division this year, the New York Giants was, man. And going into next season, I mean, it's not looking very promising as well either, you know what I mean? As far as what they're going to be able to do amongst just even their division rivals. So it's just you can't. I mean, I feel you, Miz, and from one aspect, you're just ready to get some kind of success going on up in here, but nah, man. Matthew Stafford, it's not how you're gonna do it, man.
Yeah,
it's not how you're gonna get it done. Just gotta get them young guys and get your guys in here.
You're more likely to hit on a player in the later rounds at a D tackle, which is a very deep draft at D tackle, and there's other positions where it's very deep in the second round where you might actually hit on players, than it is the quarterback position. So if I'm building this team, why not take a stab at Shador and or Ward, which you have said that they need to get their guy. But now, all of a sudden, we don't get their guy because now we need to win, and we need to win now. I don't believe that talk's going on in the building. I believe they're going to try to field a competitive football team, try to win 6 or 7 games, and that's going to be enough for them to keep their job if they have a young quarterback, not if they have a Matthew Stafford. If Matthew Stafford comes in here, you are going to have to beat the teams in front of you. You are 0-6 in your division. How many wins do you think you're going to get? I think at least 2. Maybe they beat the Cowboys, so maybe 1. Maybe they split with the Cowboys. I don't think you're beating the Commanders, and I don't think you're beating the Eagles. Okay? So that's maybe 1 win, if that 2. Okay? If we don't make the playoffs next year, having Matthew Stafford does nothing but waste another year so we can look competitive, and they get fired, and we start over again. What these guys need to do is do their job correctly, not desperately. Say, okay, this is our plan. We're going to bring in a Jameis Winston. We're going to try to field a competitive team. We're going to have more money to spend if we don't spend it on Matthew Stafford. Maybe we bring in a Chris Godwin as a receiver. Maybe we can bring in a DJ Reed as a cornerback. Okay, then I can bring in a young quarterback on a rookie deal who can sit for part of the year as we go through these motions of building this team up the correct way and building a competitive football team. Then when I have the money in 2026 and I have a rookie deal, I go out and get everybody I need. Because now I have money to spend and burn, and I know this kid can play, and I'm going to go surround him with talent, a la what the Eagles did when they brought in Jalen Hurts on his rookie deal, and they realized after he went to the playoffs, let's bring in guys for him. They went to the freaking Super Bowl after that, and they were like, you know what? We're going to extend him. So you can do that with the Giants quickly. But if you do that with Matthew Stafford, your window is we need to win now, and if you don't win, there's nothing. And then we're in this quagmire even longer.
Absolutely. I mean, Luka, thanks for stopping in. Appreciate you, bro.
Luka!
Went all out, and mythical narrative was we're a quarterback away. You guys aren't especially with Shane and Daboll being brought back after a 3-14 season. Exactly. Matthew Stafford is a move if you're literally just a quarterback away. Okay, let's see. Matthew Stafford. Let's get a guy that knows how to win some football games up in here. But we're not. The New York Giants are not that. The New York Giants are coming off of a 3-14 season. One of the worst seasons in franchise history.
You know where an ideal fit is for
100 years of history.
Pittsburgh.
And that was one of the worst seasons.
Pittsburgh is a perfect scenario for Matthew Stafford. Okay? Think about Pittsburgh Steelers and where they are. If they were to bring in a guy like Matthew Stafford, what does it do for that team? You know? You don't see stuff differently. What you see is you want to win because you're tired of losing. So that's what you see. We're trying to build a sustained winner. That's what we're trying to do. It's not my fault that Joe Shane and Brian Dable fucked it up. If they had a quarterback in here last year, we would be drooling over Abdul Carter or Travis Hunter and be like, man, let's get some more players because we have a young quarterback in here. Instead, we need a quarterback and we need to get a quarterback. And why would we want to waste away with a guy who's a gun for hire? A guy who literally you're trading assets for because you're the Pittsburgh Steelers. You have a shot at being in the championship game. Matthew Stafford can get us there. We do it. What do you mean you don't love these QBs?
Like a dog with a bone, Miz. Like a dog with a bone, Miz. But look, here's the thing. While Stafford holds it down, Stafford may literally only hold it down for next year. And then what you going to do? You're back to the drawing board again. When they lost the game to the Eagles back in the divisional round, I'm watching Matthew Stafford at his locker. He's looking, sad, depressed, or whatever. And the reporters in his face right then, was this your last game, Matt? Like they're already putting that shit into the air, man. Matthew Stafford right now is pretty much at a stage of his career where it's a year-to-year thing, man.
Because we don't.
It's a year-to-year thing with a guy like this. It's just not worth the investment, man. You're going to have to invest too much in them.
Exactly, mostly.
And you may get nothing. You're not going to get your return, man. You're not going to get your return on that, man.
You think he's going to say yes to
this guy's not going to be here for the long haul.
Oh, my God.
He's not going to be here for the long haul, man.
You're so dumb. You're dumb. Dumb. You want a guy, 37-year-old quarterback who wants to win, has a legacy of winning, and has a chance to go win another chip somewhere else, who was already with a dog shit team at the beginning of his year. They had Matthew Stafford for over 10 years in Detroit, and they went to one playoff game. One playoff game.
Wow.
Right? Like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? Like, look, Matthew Stafford's going to come in here and lead us to victory against who? Against the division and a conference that's already better than us, that's already lapped us, because we don't want to take the chance and rebuild. No, we got to win now. And win what? What are we winning? You tell me right now what we're winning this year. Because Matthew Stafford's this year move.
Just throw a reminder out there too, a friendly reminder that on next year's schedule as well, as long as obviously we know the Giants got their games against the division, the Eagles, the Commanders, and the Cowboys, but also you gotta play at the AFC West division, the NFC North division, 6 playoff teams combined from those 2 divisions this past season. That's what the New York Giants will be staring at next year. Just also throwing that out there.
And we're giving you our view, and you don't like our view. That's the difference. We don't agree with your view, and we've given you ample reasons as to why we don't like your view. The only thing you've come up with is it's New York. We've told you that every week I hear on Twitter Space, on Twitter, on all these things that we talk about, that we have a bad roster. We have a bad roster. We have a bad roster. And all of a sudden now we're going to bring in Matthew Stafford and he's going to change us overnight with a bad roster? Isn't that just doing what he did in Detroit with a bad roster and bad coaches on the hot seat? Like, logically, if I'm John Mara and I just went through the Daniel Jones era, right, and I saw what went wrong with Daniel Jones, and these guys have a chance to pick the quarterback, and they don't want to do the same thing they did with Daniel Jones, why wouldn't a team who wins 4 to 6 games next year with their young rookie quarterback not be brought back the next season with more resources and a bigger pocketbook, as opposed to Matthew Stafford, who Matt just said might want to retire? Why would that make sense? Why?
I mean,
I know.
He's 37. He already has a championship, so it's not like he's chasing that, and definitely wouldn't go to the Giants for that purpose anyway. But he's going to come in, step in. I'm going to step in. I'm going to play behind this not very good offensive line. They've got like one really, really amazing weapon on the offensive side of the football in Malik Neighbors. I'm going to step into that. I Just nothing about it makes sense to me.
I'm leaving Puka Nacua
Nothing
and a
about it.
championship caliber team in defense to come play for the New York Giants because they need a quarterback, and yay! Like, that's what it basically sounds like. Woo! Let me go here. No, I understand money talks, but there's other teams that could want Matthew Stafford, A. B, why wouldn't those other teams that actually can win not want to go get him if the Giants want him? And no one has told me anything outside of he brings leadership. You don't think Jameis Winston brings leadership to a locker room? Look what that guy does. You don't think people do that? Plenty of people don't like my view. There's plenty of people that actually do like my view. You know, I want to. You have no idea what the problem is. You have no idea of what this Kitchener or Ward can do. You have no idea. You want Jackson Dart to be, as a matter of fact, you have no idea what that kid's going to be. Right? I know what Matthew Stafford is, but I don't know what he's going to be with the New York Giants. I know what he was with Detroit, a great quarterback that couldn't do anything. What is that what you want? Because we have nothing on the roster. You can't have it both ways. You can't have nothing on the roster and then say Matthew Stafford is going to come in here and change the game. Why not just build it at the same time with a young quarterback and a young kid? Our ideas are the same. The way of getting there is not. I don't want to spend money on a 37-year-old guy that much. When I can put that money elsewhere.
I'm gonna leave this one up here for a second, man, for a minute, because that's it. Yeah, like, he's not Superman, bro. Like, I don't know. Like I said, he's good. He's very, very good. But I don't see
the Stafford, man. You're not seeing the forest of the tree. God, I'm done talking to this guy because he's not understanding. Winston is a bridge quarterback that all he has to do is be a leader. He's not. I'm not saying I'm getting him as a pedigree of Matthew Stafford, but if you're telling me that Matthew Stafford's coming in here and we're winning 9 games guaranteed, okay, I'll think about it. But I'm not paying Jameis Winston the same I'm going to have to pay Matthew Stafford. Period. The financials. I don't need to. Winston's a couple years younger than Matthew Stafford, and I know where the Giants team is at. If you can't see that this is a bad team, I'm sorry. And you can go do your Matthew Stafford thing, and then when it fails, and we're still stuck not having a quarterback, not being able to select one, and then in 2027 when we're drafting number 10th and there's 4 quarterbacks and we can't get one, everyone's going to talk ourselves out of it. Why not just take the swing?
I don't think I'll have to worry about backtracking on this one, bro. I'm feeling pretty confident that Matthew Stafford is going to want no parts of the.
And when he doesn't come here, are you going to backtrack? I don't think so. So stop it. Stop it.
But wow.
I ain't got nothing else, man.
Matthew Stafford, man, that was the fuse. He lit the fuse today. Matthew Stafford. Said their defense is talented here.
He's Captain Optimist over there. No one can have a real take anymore. Major pieces. I'm glad we have major pieces. We won 3 games last year. Major pieces, and we won 3 games. We were the worst defense in football. The worst.
We got a few players.
Yes, exactly. Got a couple players.
Do have a few players.
We don't have any real pieces.
But
Brian Burns, we paid $100 million to, and he got 8.5 sacks. I'm so glad we played him. Like, we have some players, like Brian Burns is good, but not for $100 million. Dexter Lawrence, best player on the defense. Bobby Okereke, where did he do last year?
Brian Burns did not give us $100 million for production this past season. Not
Kayvon Thibodeau? Still waiting on
Thibodeau. I better not see these guys getting 5th-year options. I just don't want to see it, man, because
we're okay.
You have done nothing to earn that shit.
Mac, we're okay with drafting busts on the O-line and the outside linebacker position, but we can't draft a quarterback bust, right? We can't do that. We can go and draft a Kayvon Thibodeau who's done nothing as a 5th overall pick, but that's okay. But if we want to go get a quarterback, well, I don't know. Is he a perfect prospect? He's not there. Like, stop being scared. Brian Dable's brought in here to develop a young quarterback. Fucking do it. My God, we sit here and I can't get over. We're gonna let Ojulari walk. Like, that's done. We have a lot of work to do, man. It's not gonna be turned around with Matthew Stafford here. I'm sorry. Our money can be spent elsewhere.
Yeah, I mean, it's crazy. I mean, it's kind of crazy to me at this point. Like with the issues this team
I'm not
has, why would you
negative,
want to
Greg, but I'm
invest that
sorry.
much money into an old veteran quarterback? I mean,
Avon Thibodeau has done nothing.
I don't I don't get it.
Thomas is injury prone. I love the guy, but he's injury prone. If they were to trade him, I'm not mad about it. But he's injury prone. Like Dexter Lawrence had 9 sacks last year. Brian Burns, they're good pieces. We won 3 games. I'm glad all those pieces added up to 3 wins. And I guess that's how you see it. But my God, you're going to say you want to go from 3 wins to 9 wins. You know how hard that is to do on a team that's not great with talent right here? This is not 2022. Okay, this schedule is far worse than that.
I mean, look, it's not about throwing. I don't want to throw anybody away. But at the same time, look. At this point, Evan Neal, I do want to throw him away. I want to throw him away. I'm done. I'm done with that. I don't even care anymore. At this point, I don't even care anymore. Move him inside the guard. He can go somewhere else and play guard. I don't give a fuck at this point.
That's the question. Why are they doing it?
Utterly disappointed in that kid. I don't. To me, there's nothing more I need to see from him. He can move on and go somewhere else, and maybe he can be like Mekhi Becton, whatever, get another chance at playing guard somewhere else. I don't care. I just don't. I'm done. There's nothing more I need to see from him. As far as like some of these other guys though, like Thibodeau, he's number 5 overall pick, man. Number 5 overall pick. And have we gotten number 5 overall pick production? We haven't.
Here.
Now he's up for his 5th-year option. Do you think he's earned that? You think he deserves his 5th-year option? No, he doesn't. He has not earned that.
Aiden Hutchinson.
I mean, it's just. I mean, yeah, the draft class a season ago was great. Newbin, those other guys. I mean, and Drew Phillips, these guys, great, sensation, and that's something to try to build upon. Yes, but that's what you're trying to build upon. Stuff like things like that, and I just don't. You're trying to like when you want to do things like. Sorry to go back to the Stafford thing again, but the things like bringing a guy like that in, it's just like you're almost trying to say, "Oh, we're ready to compete again right now," and we're not. We're not ready to compete. We need to build. We got to be honest with ourselves about what this team is. It's not a team that's right now ready to compete right now. It's not ready to compete with the teams within this division. It's not ready to, and it's not even and with the schedule they have next year, man, they're not ready to compete with most of those teams that's on their schedule next year. To be quite frank, it's gonna be a rough go at it, man. And
listen,
but you got to start, and you got to start building this thing up the right way, man. You can't just make these drastic moves and think that okay, we're ready to compete again right now.
You know, it's funny, man.
It's not.
We have conversations throughout the entire season about the Giants tanking and bringing them back. Certain people in this chat were like, they're going to come back. They're not going to be fired, right? So now all of a sudden, they are brought back. They were in on the tank job, right? This whole team time that they were in on the tank job. And now they have a chance to go take a quarterback, which everybody banged the table for if these guys come back, that's what they need to do, select their guy, right? But now they have a chance to select their guy, and we don't want to do it. Because we're now misreading this team. We were a 3-14. It's not like we were a good 3-14 team, which I don't even know how that even makes sense. When you're 3-14, you're good. But it wasn't like we were this great team. We hung in a few games, and then the doors got blown off week in and week out. We didn't really do much. It wasn't like when we had Wink Martindale here, and our defense was actually giving us opportunities, right? They have a lot of holes on this team, and it's okay to point out that we have holes on this team. And that's what it is. I understand that. I mean, some people call it a loser mentality, but we want to build a team long term. You want to build a team for next season to be good. For what? Are you guaranteeing me my success? We already did that in 2022. And then we went out and got all these players, and it didn't work out. And now we have no quarterback, no team, and nothing because we didn't want to build any depth on the team. How about we go out, we draft a quarterback. It's one fucking position. We go out and fill out the rest of the draft, go free agency, build a competitive roster out there with the guys we already have on the team and a young quarterback. We come back next season in 2026. Now maybe we're 8 in the draft, and now we can pick in a better draft class, a better player to help us going forward and spending more money under our belts. But no, it's a loser mentality to think about the future. I'd rather think about right now because I'm sad because I'm having a hissy fit that the Giants haven't won in 10 years. So I want to win and do what we did in 2022 because I'd rather just have one win so I can puff out my chest and wear my Giant gear proudly and high five people. Well, certain parts of the fan base want to build a sustained winner, such as Pittsburgh, such as Kansas City, such as Buffalo, such as the fucking Eagles in our division, and build a team up all around. And all those teams that we mentioned all have quarterbacks and have built with their quarterbacks on their roster. Okay, that's what they do. But we want to get a gun for hire because the Giants, who have nobody on the roster, who we say that every week, want to bring in a guy who's 37 years old with no future outside of a year-to-year contract. But that's okay. It's cool. It's okay.
It's not about settling, man. I'm not saying settle for 4 wins.
Nobody
I'm
wants to
saying
settle.
just being very, very realistic about the situation the New York Giants are in. That's what I'm being. I'm just being realistic about the situation they're in. I mean, let's face it. It's going to be a very uphill battle for this football team next year. Very uphill battle, man. That's just a reality. And if we got to be willing to accept that and understand
I don't want to draft any
that,
QB.
sure, can we catch a little bit of lightning in the bottle? We get the right guy in here, and then all of a sudden, things can take off a little bit. Sure, but are we gonna expect a 12-win season like the Washington Commanders had this past year? I think you can't just go out there and expecting and hoping, and thinking that's just gonna happen. You know what I mean? That's just not. That's not the standard. That was something that was a tremendous effort for that team this past season.
Are we winning? Are we winning?
But that's not.
Are we winning the playoff game with Matthew Stafford? Because are we winning anything next year with Matthew Stafford? Point blank period. Are we winning anything with Matthew Stafford?
I mean, I don't. Like I already told you how I feel about that. I don't even necessarily think so.
Okay, then.
Not the way this team is set up. And the team, honestly, if you bring a guy like Matthew Stafford in, you're not going to be able to truly improve the team around him, but so much. I mean, other than hoping that whatever rookies you do draft are all hits, you know what I mean? So it's just craziness to me at this point.
I guess we have.
What I wanted to do was draft a quarterback last year when it was a very, very strong class of guys out there that came into this league this past season and proved exactly what they were, that they lived up to the hype the hype that they all had around them going through the draft process, and we didn't take any of those guys. We backed ourselves into this corner as an organization. Now you can't just keep running from it. You have to make a move, and you got to get the young guys in here, man. Like I said, this whole, like you said, you want to bring a veteran guy in to be a bridge, like a Winston or a Justin Fields or whatever. That's fine, because that's what a bridge quarterback is. Matthew Stafford is a guy that you're gonna have to still come in. You're gonna have to pay. All this stuff, man. It's just not the same, and it's not what this team is built for, and it's not gonna help this team in the long term, even if it does help for even maybe a season. That's about all we'll be looking at. But I love you, Miz. I do. Respect you and I appreciate you showing the support, man. But I just don't. I just strongly don't agree with you on this one, man. I had to take a strong disagreement to you on this one, bro. Oh boy.
I don't have anything to say.
Well, we have reached the hour and a half mark here today, man, and ended up really going down a rabbit hole on this one, man. This Matthew Stafford thing. I hope this kind of resolves itself sooner rather than later. I hope this does not linger until the offseason.
It technically did, because on the Rams website, they posted that they liked Matthew Stafford and want to work out an extension. But hey, what do I know, right? That was the Rams website, so I guess maybe it's not credible. Who knows? But they said they want to work out a deal with Matt, so we'll see. I don't really care if they choose Barman or not. I'm not losing sleep over
Jess
you.
Jones did win a playoff game.
So did Blake Bortles. What is your point?
I mean, Mosey with a good point. We're not even better than the Jets were when they acquired Aaron Rodgers, and look how that worked out for them.
It was right. It's a wrap.
Put that in perspective as well. We will see what happens, Miz. We will see what happens, man. At the end of the day, I'm going to still be out there supporting Big Blue next year regardless. But Matthew Stafford is not the way, man. But anyway, guys, I do appreciate y'all all tuning in once again this week, man, for another edition of The Real Deal NFC East Round Up. And just like it's the all season for these guys in the NFL, it's the all season for myself and Adam, man. And we won't be back right away next week. We'll be definitely off for the next couple of weeks or so. Until off season news begins to build up around these 4 teams. Get some free agency popping off. Get the combine, everything happening. Get the off season juices really flowing. Right now, it's that little bit of slow period. So we're gonna be taking a little break for a couple of weeks, man. But we'll be back with y'all soon, very, very soon, hopefully, and with some more off-season content, man. Make sure y'all sub up to my channel, Mac the Giants Fan. Sub up to Adam Costas. Sub up to Hardcore Sports Network. Make sure y'all go hit thumbs up on all the streams on all platforms, man. The Hardcore Sports Network, Adam's channel and my channel, man. We really appreciate the support. This has been a great stream. Chat was lit up, man, especially over that Matthew Stafford thing, man. Guys really came through, and we definitely appreciate y'all, man. So until we see y'all next time, man. It's your boy Mac the Giants Fan, and this is my guy, the super dope co-host Adam Costas. I'd like to thank you all for listening. If you was feeling this, please take time to subscribe and smack them likes. Feel free to drop a comment. Let me know what you think. Don't forget to ring that bell so you know when I'm dropping new content. It's your boy, Mac the Giants Fan. You can find me on Twitter, YouTube, and Facebook at Mac the Giants Fan. That's MACDA Giants Fan.